Welcome to Secret Affairs. Silence has a way of growing heavy when you live inside a house made of glass. People think big. Modern homes are glamorous, all sharp edges, hovering staircases, and walls that pretend to disappear into the view. But silence echoes differently when everything is transparent. It settles into corners, clings to the cold surfaces, turns shadows into shapes your mind tries to interpret. Ethan, my husband, calls it his thinking house. He likes clean lines, stillness, minimalism, the kind of environment where even emotions seem uncomfortable showing themselves. I used to call it peaceful. Lately, I just call it quiet, too quiet, especially when he's gone. It's the morning everything shifted. Ethan left at 4 a.m. for a 5-day work trip to Chicago. The sky was still black, the air outside damp with the kind of cold that sneaks into your bones if you let it. I kissed him goodbye, or rather kissed the rough outline of his half-awake beard and listened to the front door click shut. A tiny hollow sound, one I had heard 1,000 times before. But that morning it felt like a chapter ending. I crawled back into our giant bed, but sleep didn't come with me. It never does when he leaves on long trips. By sunrise, I drifted through the house like someone walking underwater, still wearing nothing but the pale blue silk slip Ethan bought me 2 anniversaries ago, a gift chosen by a man who appreciates aesthetics more than meaning. The fabric whispered as I moved, clinging to the morning chill. In a home with walls of glass, the sun can catch you at angles you're not prepared for. My reflection followed me everywhere, a reminder of the woman I was still trying to understand. I made tea in the kitchen, my hands clumsy from fatigue. When the mug slipped, time seemed to slow. It hit the counter, then the floor, a sharp shattering, splash of hot liquid spreading across the dark wood like the beginning of a story that couldn't be undone. I knelt to clean it, silk brushing my skin as the house watched me. And that's when I felt him. Noah, the unexpected presence. Noah, Ethan's younger brother. He'd been staying with us for 2 weeks while trying to secure a new apartment, a temporary arrangement. Ethan arranged without really asking how I felt about it. Noah wasn't supposed to be awake that early. He wasn't supposed to be standing in the doorway behind me, but he was. When I turned, the morning light hit him in a way that startled me. Gray sweatpants, bare chest, hair tousled from sleep. Not threatening, not intense, just present in a way that made the room feel different. He didn't say anything. He just looked as if trying to piece together what he was seeing. That's how it's on my hands and knees. The silk slip had ridden up. My hair fell over my shoulders as I reached for the mess on the floor. "Good morning," I whispered, suddenly aware of every inch of my skin. Noah walked toward me slowly, his expression unreadable. Not inappropriate, not bold, just aware. Deeply, quietly aware. He crouched beside me, gently taking the cloth from my fingers. "I've got it," he murmured, voice rough with sleep. Our hands brushed for a moment, an accidental touch, but one that seemed to echo inside the quiet house, not charged, not intentional, just noticeable. He cleaned the spill while I fought to steady my breathing. When he finished, he didn't immediately stand. We stayed there on the floor side by side, the sound of the waves outside faintly crashing against the rocks below the hill. For a moment, the house didn't feel empty. For a moment, I didn't feel invisible. The shift I didn't expect. Noah broke the silence first. "You didn't sleep?" I shook my head. He leaned back on his hands, glancing at the broken mug. "You've been dropping things a lot lately." There was no judgment in his voice, just observation. Empathy, even. "Ethan left early," I said, though he already knew that. Noah nodded. "Yeah, he told me." His eyes softened, not in a romantic way, but in the way someone looks at a person who carries too much alone. "You okay?" He asked a simple question. One Ethan hadn't slowed down enough to ask in weeks. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say I'm fine. The practiced lines of a woman holding it together. But something in me cracked. "I don't know," I admitted quietly. He didn't touch me. He didn't move closer. But the moment filled the space between us like a warm breath in a cold room. Noah exhaled slowly. Then maybe. You should stop pretending you are. His honesty pierced through years of polite conversations, orchestrated smiles, and tiptoeing around the truth. I should have stood up. I should have brushed the hair out of my face, laughed awkwardly, excused myself. Instead, I stayed there with him. The tension not physical, but painfully emotional. The kind that comes from being seen when you weren't prepared to be. A house of glass can't hide everything for the rest of that day. Something unspoken hovered in the house. I cooked breakfast. Noah helped without being asked. We shared quiet, simple moments that felt strangely easy. There were no touches, no lines crossed, just awareness. A glance held one beat too long. A conversation that dug one layer too deep. A silence that didn't feel empty. Every time our paths crossed, the air shifted. Not with danger, but with possibility. A possibility I didn't trust, didn't want, yet couldn't ignore. By evening, I found myself replaying moments I shouldn't have lingered on. The way he listened, the way he noticed things about me Ethan used to notice years ago. It's the way I felt grounded around him, not floating through my own life like a ghost. I lay awake that night in the giant bed alone, staring at the ceiling, listening to the ocean. A storm had started outside, wind pushing against the glass, rain tapping insistently. Almost like the house was asking a question I didn't have the strength to answer yet. The days that followed, Noah didn't bring up that morning. He didn't tease me, didn't make anything uncomfortable. Instead, he was kind, present, normal. He helped fix a stuck window. He made coffee one morning when he noticed I hadn't slept again. He asked about my work, my routines, my interests. Things Ethan hadn't asked in a long time because he assumed he already knew everything worth knowing about me. It wasn't flirtation. It wasn't pursuit. It was connection, undeserved, unexpected, and terrifying in its simplicity. The house felt warmer with another heartbeat in it. And every day that passed made returning to the cold version of my life feel harder. The conversation that changed everything 3 nights before Ethan was due home. Noah found me standing alone in the living room. The rain outside blurred the view of the water. The reflection in the glass looked like a woman suspended between two worlds. "You've been quiet," Noah said softly behind me. I didn't turn. "So have you." He stepped beside me but kept a safe distance, the kind of distance that tells you the person cares about your comfort even more than their curiosity. "Ava," he said gently, "I know something's wrong. You don't have to say what, but you don't have to pretend nothing's happening either." My throat tightened. "Nothing is happening," I whispered. Noah looked at me, really looked, and I felt exposed in a way I couldn't explain. "Then why do you look like you're carrying someone else's earthquake?" I closed my eyes. There it was, the truth I'd been swallowing for years. The truth I didn't dare name out loud. "I'm tired," I admitted. "Of feeling like I live in a museum instead of a home. Of being alone even when I'm not. Of being looked at, but never really seen." Noah's jaw tightened with something like hurt, not for himself, but for me. "Ava," he said quietly, "you deserve to feel alive, not trapped." That word alive hit me like a wave, because deep down I knew it was true. The moment I can't forget, he didn't touch me. He didn't reach for my hand. He didn't break any lines. But he stepped closer, slow, careful, and the look in his eyes changed. Not lust, not hunger, but recognition. A moment suspended in glass and silence. My heart raced. Not for what might happen, but for what had already changed inside me. "Noah," I whispered. "We can't." "I know," he said immediately. He looked away, running a hand through his hair. "I'd never do anything to hurt you. Or Ethan. You know that? I do." We stood inches apart, the storm outside raging while we held our own inside the quiet living room. Then he exhaled, long and heavy. "I just wish you weren't hurting." It was the gentlest sentence I had heard in years. And the one that broke me. Oh,